In this section of notes, we're going to look at the population of East Asia. Part of that, we'll look at the human characteristics in these countries. We'll identify which countries different in regards to their types of human characteristics, because a lot of these countries are homogeneous. We'll also look at where East Asians live. Through that, we'll look at the population distribution and density, especially in areas which are similar to the Tokaido corridor. We'll also look at some urban lifestyles of the cities themselves. And finally, some of the challenges of the growth that's going on in Asia. Now we're looking at the population of East Asia. First one I'll look at is the human characteristics. We're going to look at China first. 92% of the people in China belong to an ethnic group called the Han. H-A-N. This group, the Han, was named for a powerful ancient Chinese ruling class, a ruling family from 206 BC to 220 AD. The Han rulers developed a culture whose influence has still lasted to the present. Off of China's southeastern coast lies Taiwan. Taiwan and China share a long history, and most of the descendants of Taiwan are actually Chinese. As you can see from the picture in the top left, Taiwan is mainly that greenish, yellowish, gold, I guess is the better color there, color. 15% of the people in Taiwan are refugees who fled China in 1949 from the Communist Revolution, which we'll get to here in just a little bit. But you can see China has got several different other types of ethnic groups and ethnicities, as well as different languages that are spoken there. But for the most part, the ethnic group belongs to the Han Dynasty, and your language, as we'll see in a little bit, is actually Mandarin. Looking at Japan, Korea, and Mongolia's human characteristics. Japan is ethnically homogeneous, which I've spelt that for you in the bottom left corner here. Homogeneous means having a population belonging to roughly the same ethnicity. For example, 99% in Japan are ethnic Japanese. In the Koreas, it's the same way. They could trace their history back to China, but 99% of the people are from the ethnic group Korean. And Mongolia, they're ethnically homogeneous as well, and they're mainly ethnic Mongolians. So these other areas outside of China are referred to as homogeneous, reflecting their domination of one ethnic group in that country. Now I want to look at where East Asians live and focus on, first, the population distribution and density. In China, 90% of people live on 1/6 of the land. This is the fertile plains, which you see here are the ones in purple. And you can see the fertile plains kind of in the green on this map, especially around the Yellow and the Yangtze River there in the middle eastern portion of China. In Taiwan, space is limited, but most of the people live in the city of Taipei, which you can see there on this map in Taiwan itself. Let me get my pen out. There we go. The Koreas, 2/3 of people in the Koreas live in either Pyongyang or Seoul. In Japan, 78% of the people live in the coastal regions known as the Tokaido corridor there. The Tokaido corridor is a series of crowded cities that are crowded together on the main island of Honshu. Tokyo is here, which is the world's most populated urban area. 27 million people living in Tokyo today. Now moving on to the urban lifestyles, kind of how people are living. The cities themselves, kind of a good picture here of Tokyo, Japan. There's skyscrapers everywhere. And in fact, in China, they develop and build these skyscrapers to last only 10 years. And they do that on purpose because they want to provide jobs for people and engineers and architects 10 years down the road to rebuild and to build where these were. So they're kind of on purpose for them not to last forever so that they'll provide jobs for the future, which is kind of a neat concept, one that would never work in the United States. Another aspect of the urban lifestyles is the bullet trains. You might have heard of the bullet trains before. I got a picture of them in the bottom there. These are trains that run off of magnets, and you see these throughout a lot of the East Asian cities. They'll go up to 160 miles per hour. These are the common modes of transportation among the cities and among the different regions, and something that you'll see in the United States before too long, but as of now, they're known to be found in East Asia. And now, challenges of growth. China and Japan are having to focus on building infrastructure that will support the large and the growing populations as their cities are getting larger and larger, and the populations are just growing. So their infrastructure is having to focus on providing for this many people and providing transportation as well as the facilities and utilities that they need to survive in these major cities. South Korea has become more of an industrial center, and they've focused on more of the secondary type of economic activities to grow and to become a developing, or as of now, kind of a more developed country because of their focus on manufacturing and the industry, because of the natural resources that they have at their expense. And China, kind of an example of China and their challenges of the growth, they have, it's no longer in force, but used to have what was known as the OneChild Policy, forcing people to have only one child. And what was ending up happening was families were not having boys to carry on their bloodline, and so a lot of times they would either just totally abandon their kids or just get rid of them if they were having daughters, and that was creating some problems as well. Today in China, there's kind of a lax one-child policy. There's more kind of taxation that goes on if you have more than one child, but you could definitely see the implementation of this one-child policy 35 years ago when you have these gaps here. And if you actually go in there and look in detail, you'll see that there's actually more boys during this time period than girls. And you could see kind of when it was dropped and when it came back in, even when they started enforcing more population restrictions. Again, not around today.